Last year.
50,000.
How many?
1,900.
50,000.
50,000. Well, I think Chuck's a little more closer to it. 2,700.
Wow.
So what does that mean? That means a tremendous drop in people taking the state exam, number one. But number two, as a brokerage owner, right, you got to ask yourself, how are you going to grow if we went from 19,000 people in June of 2004 to 2,700 across the entire state of California, right? So part of the issue is if our numbers for actual applicants are down, and that's my world, right? Because I'm training them, I'm getting them to get their license. It's down. And now you have, let's say, 2,700 people for the entire state of California. How many brokerages are there? 5,000? So that means it's less than a half a person per office to grow. So I say you need to have a plan to grow your business. You need to have a plan to grow your broker. And it can't be what everyone says to me. I just go after the irises. I just go after, that's nice to go after. It's like saying, I just go after the LeBrons, right? I just want a team full of LeBron. That's great, but there's only one or two LeBrons.
Right.
We know the Pareto principle, right? The 80-20 rule, that out of 100 agents, 80% are going to drink your bagels and coffee for free, and they're going to take your pen, and they're going to make copies of their baseball schedule on your copier.
100%.
The 20% are. So how do you grow an office if you're only going to go after the prima donnas? Well, you have to start at the beginning. And that's where I come in, right? That's where I come in. So a lot of you, I don't know, when did you get your license, Chuck?
2000, June of 2004, I think.
Oh, okay, perfect. You were one of those 17,000. And Lior said 18, so in 2002. Well, I would assume that maybe you were encouraged to get your real estate license by someone in the business, right? You met someone and they say, hey, you're very good at what you do, or they noticed something in your personality, you know? And if they were a brokerage or an independent broker, you probably started with them, right? You probably said, oh, I like Bob, and Bob does real estate, and he has this little office in West Hills or in Sherman Oaks. You joined them. So I always say the best way to recruit is at the beginning, And I'm always surprised that these offices always tell me the same thing. Oh, I only recruit top producers. And I look at their roster and I go, you have 230 agents. I know because I trained 200 of them. So, and I know the 20 that have sold something and the 180 have done nothing. So that's not true. That's not true what you're saying. So why don't we focus on, if you really want to grow, then we need to first get the people at the beginning, right? Almost like a graduate from college. And then, but the reason they don't like going after them is because that requires work. You have to be able to take someone that's a C, a brand new, to a competent B, and that requires work.
It's not just work. It's also very you have to have the right skills to be capable of taking somebody from a C to a B.
Well, that's why you're a broker, right? That's why you have this. You're leading the army. Then why are you the owner of the office if you can't lead the army? So
that was actually one of the questions that we were going to discuss with.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I don't want to hijack this. Go.
No. You're not hijacking. Actually, for those of you who are joining, believe it or not, we haven't even officially started yet. We're just chit chatting. So this is fun. But why don't we officially kick it off? Welcome everybody to episode 15, right, Chuck? We're at 15 already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Episode 15. We have the real estate professor, Armando Oliva, who everybody in real estate probably has been to his class or knows of his class. So we're going to pick his brain. We're going to ask a lot of questions, and we're going to open it up in about 25 minutes for you guys to ask questions. So if you think of something, write it down, or just start thinking of things that you want to bring to the table. And Chuck, you have, it sounded like you were about to start off with one of your questions. You want to kick it off?
So one of the questions were what your students are typically going through once they get licensed, and how they search or find their guidance when they're choosing their brokerage.
Okay, great. Well, how do they find us originally? It's for us, it's a lot of referral. So, their mom took my program, their best friend took their program. They heard that there's this guy called Armando. And one benefit of having the name Armando and being in real estate is, when I started in real estate, everyone would say you're a gardener or a contractor, right? Armando is your gardener or your contractor. But in real estate now, there's only one Armando, right? So I don't even have to use the last name. So they'll go, oh, my friend Michelle, she went through your program, or my friend Ellie, or my friend Tomer, or my friend Cameron. So a lot of it's that. So once they're in our program, we don't just prepare them to pass the state exam, but we start talking to them about launching their business. That what they're actually launching is a service business. And what we tell them to prepare for is the launch of any service business. We say, if you're starting your CPA business, your lawyer business, your consultant, you would do the same thing. You would decide why people should hire you, and then you would market to them. And then you would hope you do a good job so they keep using you. No different. But then they go, but what about the offices? What how do I join an office? And I tell them, well, now that you're here, we're going to go inside baseball, right? We're going to go behind the curtain. And we're going to say, well, the good news is all the offices want you. I know they're saying they only want LeBron, right? They only want Mark Chevin, or they only want Desiree Zuckerman, or they only want you name top producer. They only want Lior when he was 10 years ago. So the truth is, no, they want everybody for the most part, because here's the thing: we don't know we don't know who the next Chuck is going to be, right? I sit there in my class, and right back there, people are, or they're like, I know the answer, I know the answer. And the weird thing is, very often the person that knows the answer doesn't do well in the business. And the guy that was, sitting in the back, sleeping, or the girl, she all of a sudden wakes up and she happens to know a lot of people. So this is truly a network business. So as an office, you don't know who the next rock star is going to be. So what you do is you hire everybody. And that's the nature of our business. You hire. So what I tell people is I say, listen, Rosalind, another graduate. So I tell
Another rock star.
I said, don't worry about the office. Worry about what you need from the office based on your business. So I go, what type of business do you want to have? Do you want to sell condos in Sherman Oaks? Do you want to sell ranch homes in Ventura? Do you want to sell second homes in Big Bear? Why don't we start at the beginning where you want to end? What motivated you to get this license and start your business? And then to choose an office that fits that business model. So if you want to be the king of Encino, don't join that office in Westlake. If you want to be the queen of the Wilshire corridor and sell $2 million penthouses, then don't join that office in Riverside County. So the first rule is decide what type of business you truly want to have. And then number two, join the office that's close to that business. And then then the second thing is then choose an office where you're going to have a mentor, because we all have learned from somebody else. I learned from somebody else. Well, not really. When I joined, no one helped me, but still, I learned from error. I learned from error. So, but it helps to have a big brother, or a big sister, to say, hey, here's where you should get your signs. Here's where you should file for this. Here's the website. So I go, so once you've chosen an office that you think might fit because geography, go meet with them. Go sit there and go, who's going to be my mentor? Who am I? Is Chuck going to pick up my call on Saturday at 6 at night when I have a lead? Is Lior going to answer the phone at 7 a.m. on Sunday because I'm confused about setting up my open house signs? Make sure that whatever office you choose, after they geographically make sense where you live, but then that whoever that mentor is going to pick up the phone. And I say, so sit down with them. If they don't even have time to talk to you when you're thinking about it, they're not going to have time on Saturday to sit with you. And then third, worry about the money, the splits. Oh, what's my split? I say, don't be so eager to chop up money you don't even have. I
Right.
said, so choose the office that's geographically close to you, because that matters. Number two, the mentor in that office, meet with them first. Are they going to be available? Are they going to answer questions? Do you even like them? And then number three, then try to negotiate at the end of the day. I always say rule number one, everything's negotiable unless prohibited by law. But splits, the negotiable. So those are the top three things I tell agents or new agents, and then they're off. Now, I'm a little biased for Pinnacle because I happen to work with Pinnacle, but I say find an office that's close to you. You have a mentor that'll actually pick up the phone, and then negotiate the best split. Start your very first deal with you. Can you negotiate for yourself?
I've got, thank you so much for that. That was extremely insightful. I have a next question.
But before you get into the next question, we kind of skipped, and a lot of people know you, but I am personally curious as to how you even got involved in this whole concept of coaching. And why don't you tell us like what brought you to this point to create this brand?
Sure. Again, I don't want to get into my hour talk because I don't like vomiting of the mouth. But prior to my real estate life, my first company was a medical training company called Training Solutions. So what we did is we provided compliance programs for medical offices, for Kaiser, St. Joe's, Catholic Healthcare West. Basically, in the medical business, if you're a nurse, a physical therapist, a doctor, a dentist, you need a CPR card every 2 years. But not just the CPR card you get at the Red Cross. It's called BLS for healthcare providers, basic life support. And then depending on which department you work in the hospital, you may need a more advanced one called ACLS, or advanced cardiac life support. So the company I started when I was in college was we delivered these type of programs to hospitals and schools and medical centers and those type of things. So my first real taste of education was delivering mass programs. I would train 80, 90 people at a time. And I would say, wow, I like this type of business, right? One person, 100 people, you're making, $60 a person, not bad, $6,000 for one day. I said, I like this business. And then I said, I also like the fact that every 2 years, they have to renew their license. So they call you back, right? Hey, Armando, I need my renewal. So I had to decide, okay, I like this business, but how do you compete against free, right? Because a lot of us that have done CPR, we did it free, right? We did it, remember the Resuscitate Annie, that mannequin, and you did it free, or you did it in the Israeli Defense Force, somewhere you found it in the where you took CPR. So when I started that business and took it over, I had to decide, how do you compete against free, right? Because most people are like, oh yeah, CPR is good, but I can do it for free at the Red Cross, right? So I said, well, number one, we'll do it faster. What do you mean? You go to Red Cross, it's 8 hours. We'll do it in 3 hours. Oh, good, because I don't have all day. I'm a doctor, I'm a dentist. Number two, instead of you breathing on the same mannequin and wiping it every time, we'll give everyone a brand new one. So everyone's got their own. And then number three, instead of you watching some video for 8 hours, I'm going to explain it to you. We're going to explain how the heart works, why they put electricity. Why do they shock you? Like the movie's Clear. Why does that happen? Right? Because when you have a heart attack or an injury, your heart's normal electrical activity, your QRS wave, gets disrupted. And you might go into what's called ventricular fibrillation, not where your heart stopped, but where it stops pumping. Kind of like your computer freezes. Mm-hmm. How do you fix it? You reboot it. So we reboot the heart when it's quivering with an electrical charge. Clear, shock, and hopefully the heart will restart in a normal sinus rhythm. If you're dead, we don't shock you. So people are like, oh, that's interesting. I like the way you teach. And then I would always see it from a business perspective. I'd say, how much are you paying these nurses and doctors? And you don't need them 8 hours away. How about I come in and we do the class in an hour and a half? at the hospital at 2 a.m. when they're not doing anything. Perfect. So I started having people go in. We would do at Kaiser at 2 a.m. We'd be at Kaiser Hospital West. I'd be St. Joseph. Then I started teaching at the school, UCLA. I'd go, listen, why don't you give them the CPR card so they're ready to go when they graduate? So that's kind of was my first start in education. And then I would deal with very intelligent women mostly that ran medical departments. So these women are PhDs in medicine. And they'd go, Armando, we need to improve crash carts, when they run and they go paddle, intubation. I say, well, what's the problem? They say, well, a lot of the people that respond in the emergency don't know about the part because they're not trained in that. They just help. I said, wait, why don't I do a class called ACLS Prep, where I'll teach them how to use the bag, how to intubate, just enough to help the doctor or the critical care nurse. And they're like, great. So whatever their need was, I would invent a program. Now, you may be asking, how did you know? How did you know these things? Well, in the beginning, I just watched and I listened and I modeled and I learned and it would make sense to me academically. And I always believed education should be two things: fun, entertaining, and useful. So they loved our classes because they said, oh my God, they're so good and funny and da. So that's how that occurred. And then I built that up to the largest training center in California. And then we started doing defibrillators. If you know AEDs, automated external defibrillators, you now see them at the gym and stuff, right? Those little AEDs. Well, at the time when I was launching the company, they weren't around. Philips Medical and Hewlett Packard were just starting to sell those, and physio control. And people were afraid. They were like, what do you mean? I'm going to use this on Chuck, but I'm not a doctor. What? How do I use? So these companies had a hard time selling them into the commercial areas. So I contacted them, Philips Medical, and I said, hey, I want to distribute these for you. And they said, well, we're having a hard time. How are you going to do it? I said, well, I have this CPR program that I think we could add this to teach people how to use AEDs. And at that time, they said, well, we're trying to get into Westfield, right? The big shopping centers. If you do that, we'll bring you on. I said, okay. I do research and I figured that, and I found out that even though they're Australian, their headquarters in Century City. So I drove down to Century City until I found the vice president of safety. And I said, hey, in a mall, it could take 10, 20 minutes for the paramedics to find a person. You need to give them the shock within the first few minutes to give them the best chance to survive. And they thought it was a good idea, but they were hesitant. And I said, I wonder, there's something going on here. And then I looked next door and I go, what's that beautiful building? They said, oh, that's the Israeli Commandos. I go, the Israeli Commandos? Yes, PSC security. They run all that stuff. I said, that's the issue. So I went across the street. I said, I want to talk to the Israeli Commando. I said, Boker Tov, how are you? Da, da, da. And they told me, we run all the security for Westfield. All those little shopping carts, that's PSC security. I said, now I know why I wasn't selling. How about we partner? And we put these on your golf carts and your things, and then I'll make you guys a training center to train your security guards in CPR AED. 400 units sold. Boom. My company was doing fantastic. And then I learned a valuable lesson as a young 26-year-old. You don't sell good businesses. So a guy contacted me, said, hey, I want to buy your business. He offered me a lot of money. More, you got to remember, I was a little immigrant from East LA, no money, nothing. So for me to all of a sudden someone say, I'm going to give you this much, I've never seen that kind of money. So here you go, sir. I sold him the company. And, I did okay, but I didn't realize what I had. I had a tiger by the tail, So I sold the company and I was single by myself. I bought a house. I bought the BMW. I did all these things. And then my CPA said, man, you need deductions. You're not married. You don't have children. You need deductions. You should own rental property. At that time, I barely owned one place that I just bought. And then I go, and I had an office in Woodland Hills, right on Topanga, and it said CPR. For those of you that are longtime Valley people, any of you listening, if you've been in Woodland Hills a long time, you might remember that Verizon store on Oxnard and Topanga. Above it, it was CPR training. That was my business. So, but if you also remember, below it, there was a Remax owned by a guy named Jay Belson. Remember Jay Belson? He used to own the Remax on the Boulevard. This might be old stuff for a lot of you, but Jay Belson used to own a series of Remaxes. I'll tell you a story about him if we have time. But so I walked downstairs.
We'll make time.
I walked downstairs, and I didn't know how real estate worked, right? So I said, hey, can someone help me buy a rental? Like 5 agents rushed me. And I was like, and I won't say his last name, but he's still in the business now. His name's Steve something. Okay. And he said, I'll help you. I said, great. And I said, he goes, where do you want to buy? I said, well, my office is here, because I was in a 1-year earnout where I had to stay with the company for 1 year before I got the rest of my money, because I was doing the transition. So I said, well, how about right around here? I said, Warner Center. I said, seems nice to me. So I bought my first house right behind it on Khalifa, if you know Khalifa Street, because since we're mostly all Valley people here, for $210,000, right? And then, great, I put a tenant in, great. Then I said, I need more, So then I would call Steve. I say, I need another one. And Steve would show up late, and at that time, the Supra key, it was an old one. It was like those yellow ones where you had to put like the pager inside of it. And then I started thinking, what does it take to get real estate? What is this business? Like, I didn't even know how much he was making. And so he sold me 2-3 homes. And then there's a team that you might remember, some of you, Gary and Risa. Gary and Risa, they used to be very big south of the Boulevard in Woodland Hills 10, 15 years ago. So they sold me, I bought one of their listings on Providencia at that time for like $330,000. I was pretty much all cash because I had just sold my company. And my guy, Steve, helped me, which was no help. But so I negotiated a lot with them. About a month later, I'm getting it fixed up to put a tenant in. Gary and Risa come to my office. And Gary and Risa come to my office. They go, hey, can we talk to you about the house? I said, sure. We have a buyer. I said, I just bought it from you. What do you mean? I didn't understand real estate. He goes, we have a buyer, because you got to remember, now we're 2003. Things are starting to really take off, And I go, well, I paid $325. We have a buyer. He'll pay you $430. I said, $430? I said, what is this business where you can make $100,000 in 2 months? I work like I won't say the word in Spanish, but como burro, like a donkey, to make, at that time, 6 figures. Here, 1 month. So they're up in my office, which was my medical training business at the time, and we're negotiating. And the guy, this agent that I was using, comes up and he sees me talking with Gary and Risa, right? And it was like he was my girlfriend and I was cheating on him. And he goes, what are they doing here? Why are you talking to them? And I was like, what? Why does it matter? And I said, well, they brought a deal. I said, I'm not going to use you. I don't need you. I'll use you for that. And I was so like taken aback by, what do you mean? This is not business. This is personal. That I said, you know what? I'm just going to get my license. What does it take to get your license? Right? Because he turned me off so much by the weird way he acted. And a lot of realtors act this way, right? When I'm coaching agents, I go, why do you act so personal? Like you make everything like, oh, your best friend didn't use you. Oh, you're all upset. Well, you should think of why she didn't use you. It's probably your problem. You probably don't look professional to her.
I noticed it's a very common thing that a lot of people that are so successful, and we know them as, real estate gurus. You're known as the real estate professor. It's funny that many of the stories accidentally fall into real estate, and you just touched on that again today. I do want to change topic just a little bit
Give me 1 minute, because I think I'll wrap it back up in a ribbon.
Okay, so go ahead.
So I decide what does it take to get my license. And at that time, like many of you that have been licensed for a long time, oh, you bought a book, right? You bought a book and then you took the test and you only had to take one program, the principles. So I found a guy in Northridge named David Calhoun, the Realty Academy or the Academy of Real Estate. So I took it from him. I bought this book. I was dating this girl, a beautiful girl named Brenda at the time. And she stayed up all night with me. I wonder what she's doing. And then she stayed up at that Denny's, Remember the Denny's by Taft, by your office? There used to be a Denny's,
Yeah.
24-hour. Me and Brenda, beautiful Brenda, we stayed there and she helped me study for the whole night. Then I took the test and I took it. Fast forward, when I decided to get into the real estate education business, I contacted that guy, David, in Northridge, and I bought his business. But go ahead.
Ah, you bought his business.
Well, it's a long story. I offered to buy it. He didn't want to sell. Unfortunately, que Dios nos protege, he died. So he dies while I'm negotiating. His heirs, the people that inherited, call me up. I get this call. Hey, Armando, do you still want to buy this business? I said, yeah, but David didn't want to sell. Well, David's dead. I said, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. He goes, but do you still want to buy it? So that was my first acquisition. So I bought his business to kind of understand what exactly the real estate was. And then I realized I didn't need it. What I do is better. But I bought it and I learned and I did it. So, but it was kind of full circle because he got me into the business technically. And then I bought his business. And from there, I created the Realty Academy. But I'm sorry,
awesome.
Go ahead, Lior. Next question.
Actually, I'm kind of an opportunist, so I want to take the opportunity. One, I want to acknowledge some of the people that really take advantage of, like Oksana, that she put her name, her phone number, her sold sign. I think that's really smart. Change your background. That way, when you're switching between calls and stuff, you're still able to get your exposure. Like Shane, you should do something for your drones. Everybody should do something for themselves. And also, I want to acknowledge that we have some sharks here from all over. Like we've got Omri from Ohio, right? You're at Ohio right now. And we got Liron from Israel, and people are just working from all
What
over.
about Michelle Cohen? Michelle
Cohen
Cohen's
is
not too shabby.
right around the corner from us. She's in Woodland Hills. But my question,
Greensburg.
yeah, oh yeah. My question for you is this regarding success and failures, like what you've seen, like maybe your, top success story that you can tell us about your students, and a top like failure story or something, something brief that we can, maybe take away and maybe be able to apply to our lives.
Sure. Seeing thousands of people get licensed, the ones that I've seen I'm not successful are the ones that are always waiting for things to happen to them, right? I call it, one of my rules I teach in class is time kills all deals. And then I teach them done beats perfect, right? So many people are always waiting for the perfect business card, the perfect flyer, and they never get started. So I always say done beats perfect. So the people that I've seen have not done well, they're still waiting for Fabio to take their headshot. They're still waiting for their friend in India to do their website for them instead of buying a cookie cutter one and being done in 3. The ones that I've seen were successful right from the beginning is they acted. They just did. I say a thing in class, no talk, do. They just said, okay, I'm going to go sit in an open house and figure it out while I'm there. I'm going to send an email to my friend and say, hey, listen, if you need help, as cheesy as it may sound, I'm in real estate. Can I help? Can I answer questions? I'm going to ask a million questions. And then what I found also is the ones that have good emotional IQ. Like what I tell people all the time, I say, it doesn't help you to be that smart in this business. Like academically, it doesn't help you too much. Like I wish I would make millions more, but it helps you to be high emotional IQ. And emotional IQ means you have self-awareness. And the student graduates I've had that have self-awareness do very well. For example, if they go and they go, hey, Lior, I assume you make money by people coming to get loans from you. How can I help you get loans? Well, if you come across someone that needs a refi or this, that, okay, great. And then they make it a mission to find one person next week, even if they don't do the refi, to call Lior. And then first they give and then they take. Then they go, hey, Lior, by the way, do you know any place I can sit an open house? Because I don't have any listings. And call this agent. They'd be happy to have you sit their open house because I do their loans for them. Thanks, Lior. What's their name? Now they're sitting in front of an open house in Sherman Oaks. They got 4 leads that day. They're off. So what I found, the ones that are waiting for things to happen don't do well. The ones that make things happen as little as find out about someone else's business, how they can help. The old adage, give first, then take. Like I have people all the time come to me, I want you to be my mentor. And I go, why would I be your mentor? Unless you're around 28, 35 and you want children and you want to get married, probably I'm not going to be your mentor right now because I'm too busy. But those are people that don't have self-awareness, right? Because they're going, let me come take. The ones that go to me and say, hey, Armando, how can I help you? I go, well, I'm kind of busy Sunday. Can you do an open for me? Sure, no problem. Hey, I have someone that wants to take your school. Now, my reaction is, I want to help them now. So I think like in any business, if you are self-aware, you give first and then you take, you'll have no problem in this business. Because this business rewards people that are valuable.
I actually agree with that in life in general. If you're blessed enough to be able to give all the time, then you always develop these relationships and it just comes back tenfold. So I agree with that 100%.
If I could add one thing, and I get new agents that go, but what do I have to give? I have nothing going on. What do I have to give? I said, your personality. What I tell new agents all the time, and this is something that's kind of lost, is I go look at new listings. Go visit these broker opens. Go visit these, but don't be your normal jerk self. Be a better person. For example, when I walk into a listing, let's say it's Desiree or let's say it's Iris or one of these monster agents on here. I go, and they'll attest to you. I always go, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. What a great listing. It may be a piece of crap. I go, amazing listing. Great job. I know how difficult it is to get one listing in this business. The fact that you got this, you're a top producer. You're so good. Maybe I can find the buyer. And then I leave. Now the other guy walks in. This is overpriced. Oh, this is overpriced. Maybe I'll show it. What is the upside of acting that way? What is the benefit? Now Desiree gets 2 offers, one from Armando and one from Mr. Grumpy. Same price. Who do you think is going to get that deal? We are in the people business. We are in the people business. So one of the things I tell agents, if you have nothing to offer, be a better person. When you go visit, you know what I do sometimes? I go get an iced coffee. I get 2, and when it's a listing that I like a lot, even though I didn't get it, but one of my buyers might be interested, I go visit the agent. I go, hey, great listen, great open house. Hey, man, I don't know if you're thirsty. Here's a Starbucks coffee. Good job on this listing. Man, you're killing it, dude. You're killing it, man. Leave a little bit for me. and now, what have I created? A positive feeling for Armando. Now, when Armando calls him, and guess what? If I needed an open house on Sunday and I call him, I go, hey, Chuck, you're too busy for opens, man. You're doing too much business. Let me do it for you. Guess what Chuck's going to say? Yeah, I wasn't going to open it. Go ahead, do it open on Sunday. He gives me an opportunity. All that came from what? From me with nothing, going to visit brokers open and not being fake, but not being a jerk. And now building rapport. I can't tell you how many off-market deals I've done because we're friends. Now me and Lior are friends. Me and Chuck will be friends. I have a new pocket listing coming up on Lake Balboa on Gilmore Street with a 1,100 square foot ADU, 1,600 square feet. We're going to blow it out. I'm not even going to put on MLS. I'm going to send it out to all my friends that know. And guess what? Because we're friends now, Chuck will go, hey, tell me about that one. It's on Gilmore Street, right off of White Oak. 700. It's probably worth 850. But they're desperate. They're moving to South Dakota. Literally, they want to own guns and I'm not here to judge. But we have a good rapport. Guess what? You get the deal. Agents don't understand how many deals happen because we like each other. You pulling that card, oh, I've been selling for 20 years. Who cares? So you're old and you suck. So this is overpriced. Oh, get out of here. Oh, are they motivated? Make an offer before we negotiate. By you being the great listing, I hope I can sell it. Opportunities happen. So I guess what would be my secret formula for agents outside of the normal hard work? Be well liked by other agents. It'll open up a tremendous amount of opportunity. How can you start to be well liked? Show up at an open house. Bring them a Starbucks. Don't badmouth the listing. Like their social media posts. Call them up. Congratulate them. People are shocked sometimes. They're like, the professor? I go, hey, Katie, good job, man. How's that listing in Porter Ranch going? Oh, it's good, Armando. Yeah, good job. You know, I feel bad that I trained my competition, but I'm happy if anyone's going to beat me, it's you. So good job, Katie. Hopefully I can bring a buyer. Immediately now, any opening I have to communicate my buyer offer probably is going to have higher preference. So what's the secret? Be liked. And that's so hard for people. Be liked.
It's going to be easier for some people. It's going to be harder for some people, but let's thank you for that. I think that's probably one of the most powerful things we've got.
I want to dive in. I want to dive in just a tad bit more on that and ask you if you were to start as a realtor tomorrow, but with all the knowledge that you have now, and I want this to specifically be a tip that somebody can tomorrow go and execute a certain discipline. What would be the one thing that you would put most of your attention on in terms of growing your brand and attracting business?
The same thing I do today, nothing different. I would do the same thing I'm doing today to get business that I would do on day one. Number one, I would put all my contacts. Don't worry about the latest CRM, right? When I start talking about contact management, people are like, oh, what? And they all say, what's the best one? I don't care. I can tell you the best one. You're never going to use it. You don't use contact management software. None of you do. Maybe Lior does with the mortgage, but the rest of us, we're realtors. We're salesmen on the spot. We have mucha, in Spanish, you say labia. So what I would first say is get your contacts at bare minimum, fill out all the fields on your phone. At bare minimum, all the first name, the last name, the email, the address. At the bare minimum, do what your mother does. My querida madre at 79 years old, she has everyone's phone number in her book. I go, hey mom, what's Betty's number? Déjame checar. She grabs her book. She has her business card stapled on there and she has it. So at the bare minimum, at least have like your mom's notebook where you have everyone's phone number and put it in. So the first thing I would do is go through your phone. You know how you have Susie from Hot Yoga. Complete it. Susie Berman, Encino email. And I get a lot of new agents when I say this, they go, but how do I get the information? You call them. Right? We do all this marketing to get what? A conversation. But yet we're afraid to have the conversation. You're trying to find some secret way to look up their information. How about you call them and you go, Susie, I'm sorry I haven't called you in 6 months. I'm sorry we said we're going to do lunch and we never did. But I want to build our relationship. And you know what? I don't even know your last name, Susie. What is it? What's your email? I'm going to send you a Christmas card and Hanukkah card. So I need your address. Okay. For sure, we're going to do a $20 Air One smoothie, okay? Okay, good. And then I go to the next one, and I go to the next one until my phone is complete. But agents, they only want to talk when it's nice, like call. And what a perfect reason to call. I have you in my phone as Omri. I can't remember where we met, Omri, but what's your last name? What's your address? What's your email? Okay, awesome. Hey, let's not wait a year, Omri. We may not have a year. Let's catch up, please. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye. Toda. And then, so what's my first tip? Make sure that it's not Ed from Jim. Make sure it's not have it complete. And if you have to call them, that's what we do. That's the whole point of our business, to have conversations. What I have agents like, isn't there a website I can find their address? The whole point is to talk to them. The whole point is pick up the phone and talk to them. That's number one.
Okay, I've got the elephant in the room, which is usually the discussion goes, where do you think the market's going? And before you even answer, the kind of conversation we've been having is people upgrading and the market doing things that nobody really expected. We all thought the market's going to tank. Now there's multiples on everything. People wanting to upgrade. Someone with a condo wants a backyard. Someone with a backyard wants a pool. What are your thoughts on that?
And I don't want to be flippant with this because I know it's an important topic for all of us. I don't care. Okay. I don't care. In Fair 2007, enough. 8, and 9, I made more money than I made in the last 5 years. Why? Because I was doing short sales. I was an REO broker for Bank of America, for Countrywide. I was flipping my own deals. I had that's right. It's not just AV construction. There's also Oliva construction. And I was doing all sorts of repairs for my REOs in chart. So I don't care. And now what gives you a little more satisfaction? My job at this point is to market to my network, to market to people that are my friends, family, anyone who somewhat likes me, cares about me. And my job is to market to them that whatever their need is, selling because they lost their job, buying because they think it's a good time, wanting to flip, then that's my job, to get in between the deal and the client. Not to guess, is it going up? We're like stockbrokers. Who cares if the client made money or lost money on the stock? We make the trade commission. I hope they make money, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to help them whether they're trying to sell, buy, or lease. That's it. Not to say I know what it is. In fact, I don't know what it is. In fact, it's like stocks. When I think I know what stock, it goes down, but I don't care. That's irrelevant to my business. I have 3 active listings right now, 2 in escrow. Last month, I closed 2 deals. One was a buyer thinking that the market is going to crash, but they're still going to buy. The other one was a seller had to sell. I don't care. I care about the client. I care about my network. I care to stay in front of my customer to help them. So they go, Armando, we need to sell. You need to help us. Armando, we need to buy. Armando, we need to refinance. Armando, we need a senior loan, reverse mortgage. So my goal is not to understand which way the market's going, but to be in front of my customer for whatever life decision they need to make.
So being, this being a people business and a service, you can't obviously answer to one of your clients saying, wow, where's the market going? I don't know if I should buy. I don't know if I should sell. I don't know what I should do. I've got my rental. I've got a tenant who's not paying me. Help me. What should I do? How do you answer that kind of person?
Okay, well, if you're in my class, I love saying real estate jiu-jitsu, where I turn things around on people. Katie, were you in my class, Katie? Okay, I practice jiu-jitsu, right? So, for example, right now a customer says, Lior, is it a good time to buy? Well, they know that as realtors, we're going to go, it's always a good time. And now you become a cheesy realtor, right? Interest rates are low. No, when someone says to me, Armando, is it a good time to buy? I go, it depends. And they go, what do you mean? It depends. What's your situation? Boom. Oh, well, we're renting right now. We pay $4,500 a month for a crap house in Woodland Hills. How long have you been doing that? Oh, about 3 years. How's it going for you? Well, not so good. For you, it's an amazing time to buy, because who cares where the market goes? You burned $150,000 in rent, no equity, nothing. And not only that, we don't buy houses because it's going to go up, because it's quality of life. So you've been having your kids in some shitty rental for 3 years, and now they're going to leave the house. You never enjoy the house. Or if I go, it depends. What do you mean? What's going on with you? We own our house cash. We don't have any kids. There's no reason for you to buy. Why would you want to sell your house and increase your property tax and everything? There's no reason for you. And then what I love is human psychology. You tell someone they shouldn't, they want it. So when I go, it depends. What's your situation? And I say, you shouldn't buy. They go, well, what about investment? I want investment. Oh, it sounds like you're burning money in your pocket. You're going to either buy the Google stock or some Winnebago van. I'll spend your money for you. It's a great time to buy. Let's go looking for something. So what I do is jujitsu. And that's also what I use when people say the other question, how's real estate? They already know the answer for themselves, right? But unfortunately, agents, we're so programmed to give an answer. We're a consultant. You need to learn to step back. So when someone goes, how's real estate? It's going great. Conversation over. How's real estate? It's very slow. It's very loser. I don't want to deal with him. So what's the right answer? How's real estate? It depends. On what? On a lot of things like location. Right now, Calabasas, you try to buy a house for 1.2, impossible. The multiple offers, anything under 1.5. So it depends. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Tarzana. Oh, whereabout? Oh, by El Caballero. Oh, how long have you been there? Oh, we bought in 2010. What am I doing? I'm doing mastery questioning here. They don't even know it. What does it tell me that they bought in 2010? What do I know right away? That's right, Michelle. Right, equity. Equity is what I know. Number two, what do I know about real estate? Why do people buy real estate?
I'm gonna allow to unmute everyone. So anybody
why
that wants
do
to jump in.
People buy? All you realtors, why do people buy real estate?
To have their friends envious of them.
No, but good
money.
answer. No, and I'm
Have
surprised because you guys all say the same thing to me. My children, my children. Why are we all in San Fernando Valley? Because when you were laying in the beach in Tel Aviv, you said, my dream is to live in West Hills. No, man, because your children, we all start off the same way. You're living with your parents. You move out to your cool little apartment. Then you're living someplace cool, right? You're in Brentwood, and then you get married. You get married to that numbnut. And then all of a sudden you have children. And now it's all about, oh, the schools. Now that kid's going to Pierce College, but you can still believe he's going to Harvard because that's going to be, in 20 years. So why is the number one reason people move to the Valley? Because they can afford more home and safer schools. It's children. Like, I can't wait to have children so I can do that. Like in Braveheart, the movie, the battle cry. First, I hope I feel the same way. Because when I talk to my clients, which are all parents, I go, what's your best thing in life? My child. I go, that kid? My child. I go, I hope I feel that way too. Now, my mother probably says the same thing, my hijo. But right now, you say what's best in life. I can't say that. So why do people buy real estate? We know the answer. They're freaking children. Otherwise, you would have kept that cool condo in Santa Monica, Chuck. Lior, you would have stayed right in Manhattan Beach, baby, in that cool apartment surfing every day. But it's because you decided to have a family. I have no children, no wife, nothing. So me, I just bought a condo in Newport Beach right now. So and my main house is in Calabasas. So why do people buy? Because of children. That's the reason. And that never goes away. That never goes away. So by me going, how long you lived there? Since 2010, I know they have equity. What else do I know? Why did they move there? The children, they're going to Temple El Aliyah, they're going to El Camino, they're going to Hale, they're going to Chaminade Catholic School. But what has happened in 10 years?
They've grown up.
That kid is now at Pierce College and they realize he's not going to Harvard, right? So now in their mind, they're ready to make a move. They're ready to make a move. So by me having this jujitsu, how's real estate? It depends. By city, by state, where do you live? It's all about them, which is the way the sales should be, all about them. And I'm getting intel. How long? Where do they live? Equity. And they'll share little things like, we've been to them on 12 years. The kids have all graduated now. You know what they're thinking? Let me get out of there. Westlake, one story. Let me go to Texas. Let me go this. You're now where we all the marketing, all the postcards. It's also, you get to this conversation. All marketing is so we get to this conversation. And here you are in front of Starbucks and you're there. Don't blow it by saying, great, conversation over. Don't blow it by going, it's a jiu-jitsu. So how do you answer, how's real estate? It depends. Where do you live? How do you answer, how's the market going up and down? It depends. What's your situation? Yeah. And if you can make, because we all get asked that, right? We all get asked that 20 times a day. What if you can get one of those people every 5 days? That's 4 deals a month.
Yep.
Wow. That's 48 deals. And I love it when these coaches go, oh, I coach a team with 95 deals a month. No, you don't. No, you don't. I have a software called Broker Metrics. I see what every office does and every agent does. Now, there's definitely some maniacs out there for sure, but they're the 1%. Let me tell you what NAR says. NAR says that the average realtor does 6 transactions a year. That's good. That's good. The median price home in San Fernando Valley is about 650. So your commission 2.5%, 18 grand. You did 6. That's a good living, right? I know we're a little skewed in the Valley because, like, you know, everyone's driving $100,000 cars. But the truth is, if you sold 6 homes a year, you're doing very well. And the ones that are actually selling multiple double digits, that's the 1%. Yes, Chuck.
We like to stay around 45 minutes, so I don't want to take people's time and your time, and we really appreciate having you here. But we do, yeah, no, you're amazing. Leo, do you want to give him a little brief on the win of the day and the win of the week?
Yeah, maybe we can skip the win of the week if anybody has questions. So maybe we could allow for 1 or 2 questions just before we wrap up. I went ahead and gave the ability for all of you to unmute yourself. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself. Or if you have a win for the week, anything business or personal, just unmute yourself and share with us.
So I'm actually going to share my win of the week with Liron Avraham. She's on here with us. She's in Israel. We just closed a deal that we've been working on for, I don't know, 8 months, 7 months. I don't even know. I lost track of time. And it's a nice little $60,000 check. We're just really happy with it. Boom, boom, boom. And she's in Israel. She's not even in this country.
Awesome.
So let the hustlers hustle.
I think everyone should say one positive thing. You're next, Katie. Oh, Michelle, you're up, Michelle.
I wanted to ask you a question. Do you do any other training for like more advanced agents that have been in the business for many years? Do you offer anything? I love your style, and I just wanted to see if you have anything else.
I do private coaching one-on-one because people come to me for all sorts of things. Like I have people that go, I want to start an escrow business. I had an escrow company, so I teach them how to get the DOC license, how to go that. I have contractors that come to me because when I'm with my contractors, I go, why don't you pick up your phone? It's a complaint. And I go, dude, how do you live a life where all your past customers you don't want to talk to because it's a complaint? I said, let's change that. So I talked to them how maybe they can handle their construction business so that they're not always chasing complaints. So yeah, one-on-one. Our first is just we talk, make sure you like my style because I'm a results person. So I focus more on if you tell me, Armando, should I incorporate? I go, well, it depends. What are you trying to achieve by incorporating? Then we'll talk about LLC, S Corp, C Corp. If you're telling me, Armando, should I get a license in Nevada? Well, why are you trying to get a license in Nevada? You know, so a lot of the coaching I do is best when you have an objective in mind. Now, I don't mind you paying me for me to make you feel better for the hour, but what I do best is I'm like a tool, right? Where you're trying to open some door and I'm that final snap. So you contact me when you're trying to get something done.
Okay.
Now, if you want basic stuff, maybe we can talk, but for the most part, I want someone who says, Armando, I want to start a health club. Because I've also just, not take any more time, but I've built a lot of business. The #1 gym in Woodland Hills, the Woodland Hills Athletic Club, the WAC. I built that.
Wow, I love WAC.
So when I share my story of how I bought it and how I negotiated with the landlord and everything, that might help you figure out how you could do it with your particular problem. So a lot of what I've done, you could use my strategies for your things. For example, I also bought a Jewish deli. And when I bought the Jewish deli, I bought it for zero. And when people go, how did you buy it for zero? Well, number one, the guy owed a lot of back rent, right? So I said, how about I take over your rent that you owe? He owed like 60,000. And then you do for my graduates, how do we transfer personal property? What document do we use to transfer personal property? Bill of sale. So I had them sign the bill of sale, the 2 ovens, to do this, da. And then I said, great, I'll assume your liability, the 60,000 for the landlord rent. All right. So he basically earned 60,000. Then I contacted the landlord. I said, hey, I'd like to extend the lease to 10 years, but I don't need any TI. What's TI? Tenant improvements. What I'd rather like, you just forgive the back rent. Done. Forgave the back rent. I got a 10-year lease, but that was the beginning. Then I said, okay, great. I don't want to sell sandwiches every day. That's not my profession, but how do I scale it? How do I take advantage of my, so right here in Woodland Hills, right next to the WAC, those of you that know the gym, a deli next door. So I said, well, who's next door? HealthNet. And this is something you may do for your own business. You got to ask better questions. So I said, who's next door? HealthNet, Kaiser. Do they eat? Yes. How can I get them to do big catering? Well, call them. So I called them. I said, because people say, well, doesn't the hospital have a cafeteria? Yeah, but you don't believe how much they order for big medical conferences there. So I ended up doing $3,000-$4,000 a day in sales to HealthNet, to Kaiser, more than I was doing with the little register and the donut. And after about 4 months, I sold it to these Armenian guys that run cafes. I'll tell you, I sold it for $180,000. So in 3 months, I made $180,000 with my brain. Plus, I cash flowed it to 3 months. And I didn't need that deli. I was building up the health club. I was doing my real estate. But when you're thinking a certain way, you're always thinking that way. And if I can help you to maybe fine tune the way you think, then we can both do something together. So
fantastic.
Because a lot of people always think money. Oh, well, if you have money, no, you need to have resources. And there's a lot of different things that fall under resources, not always money. In fact, money should be the last thing you think of. Go ahead. Next person. Michelle, you had a question. Katie, what's your comment today?
I want to share my win today. As a newer agent, it's a win, and in today's market too. My offer got accepted from my buyer, which I'm really happy, and I also got my second listing this week. So I'm very excited to share that.
Now, how are you leveraging? Because we're like monkeys, we go from one branch to the other. How are you making sure that the success you have is being advertised to your network? Did you do your Instagram post? Did you do your Facebook post? Did you do your LinkedIn post? Did you do it? And keep hammering, because you may think they're not watching you. They are. They are, right? So good job.
Awesome. Very cool. Omri in Ohio.
Self. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Anything is possible. And this is a really good time right now to take advantage of great opportunity. I think there's going to be more opportunity coming in the year ahead than we have money for. And a time like this is where I made a big transition and moved to Ohio to buy rental property. I was an agent. I was a commercial agent also at Sands Investment Group, and they're a really big firm out of Los Angeles. It was just me and 3 more guys. I think now they have maybe 50 agents across the country, and they probably did over 4 or 5 billion in sales in the last 9 years. So
Omri, do you have a social media where you're tracking what you're doing, so someone in LA could go, wow, you can buy a rental for 60,000 and maybe you get some business? Is there some site where I can see what Omri's doing? Omri, the Ohio investor, where can I watch what you're doing? Where can I get excited about $40,000 homes?
I would, but I'm selling my company in a few weeks. and we're going live on the market.
Okay.
And I'm
All right,
proud.
then that's your win. You got a buyer for your company. Great job.
I hope.
Okay. We kind of already heard from Chuck your win, Iran, but any other win other than your 60,000?
Me?
That's right. Live from Tel Aviv.
Oh, next to Tel Aviv, but yes.
La Haifa.
Next to it.
Darn it.
I would say I did UPW with Tony Robbins this weekend, and I'm all pumped up. One of the
How's
things.
your feet?
I'm so tired. I'm so drained, but
Did
in
you
a
go over
good
the
way.
hot coals?
No, it was virtual.
No, he did
I
it
wish.
virtual this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did it virtual this time. But one of the things you mentioned is resources versus resourcefulness, and that's one of the
very
things
good.
that I try to keep in mind. So it's not the money, it's not the time, it's not the education, it's really what you have inside. So if you hustle, if you come from a place of curiosity, of excitement, then you'll find a way. So I resonate with what you mentioned before. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Tara, what's your win for this week?
Hi, sorry. So I just passed my my real estate exam.
Wow, you must have gone to a great school.
I did. I went to yours, of course. And it was my first try. So I passed it on my first try. And I just had surgery 2 weeks ago. So Armando really helped, especially doing that 8-hour crash course.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to working with you, Tara, and
Well,
let's close our first deal soon. Tal, I think I know Tal.
Tal is one of the administrators in Leo's office.
Oh, okay, we'll skip him. D, I know
Sure.
D.
Yeah, D
he's
is
here somewhere.
one of the top title reps.
Anybody else want to share? I know I took us way over.
So Oksana had a question. She wrote it in the comments here. Do you anticipate coming short sales and REOs and apply with banks?
Yes, because they're already here. Okay. One of the things that I would be careful of is being in the West Valley. And I don't know where you're at. I don't know if you're in the West Valley here, but my perspective is West Valley here. We get very skewed. We get very, very skewed, right? We think that $48,000 a year is poverty. We think that everyone should drive a Tesla or this. And when you look at the rest of the state and you start looking, and what I would do as part of, like, I don't know what your ritual is, but one of my rituals in the morning is I always look at 5 different cities. Right. I look at obviously where I work. I look at Calabasas, but I also look at Fontana. I also look at Orange. I would choose 5 cities on MLS, and I start looking, what type of listings are these? And when you start doing that, you start noticing, wow, I'm starting noticing that there's 3 REOs now where there was 0. There's 2 short pays. So now so there's definitely going to be, now the question is that could, like in 2007, 8, and 9, the short sales and REOs were about 70% of the transactions for a couple of years. So the question is, how many of the transactions will be that? Will it be 5%? So you'll see them, but it's still 5, 10% will be that. But again, I don't care, right? Because my question is my network, my clients. Now, if they're the ones that are going to be in distress, then yeah, I should make sure I'm getting sharp on who do I contact at the bank to start the short sale? How do I sign the letter of authorization so they'll talk to me and not my client? What do they want to hear? Is it the same thing they wanted to hear 10 years ago, that you lost your job, that this, that? So start preparing before the fight, right? So I do believe there's going to be some. They're already here. However, you want to make sure that you're prepared to handle them. Now, the question, should you sign up with banks? Let me tell you behind the curtain. All these websites that want to take your money, they say, oh, join here. The way the loss mitigators work and these asset, they don't go, oh my God, Armando just signed up to this website in Woodland Hills. I think I'm going to give him the listing. That's not how they work. number one, they already have these established relationships. And even though, like, our big one in the Valley here, Stephanie Vitaco, right? You all know Stephanie Vitaco. That girl flies to these banks and conventions. She just did 2 months ago. And she shakes hands, she kisses babies, she asks questions, she invests a ton of money to keep those relationships. So it's not about like applying on some website. If that's something you really want to do, then you take one lead, like, and don't be afraid. Maybe you call up Stephanie, or you call up Jocelyn from Coldwell Banker that works the West Side. You say, hey, listen, is there any way you'd be willing to give me a little guidance? And they may slam the phone on you, but you get one and you call, you work until you work away. It's a tough road to hoe for sure. I got lucky in 2007 because in 2005, Countrywide sent out a request to anyone that wanted to pay $1,000 to be certified countrywide. And one of my guys that worked for me asked me for $1,000. And I was like, at that time, I was like, what's an REO? You know, like I was like murdering it in 04, 05, 06. And plus I had bought the health club. I was doing a lot of businesses. Thank God he got me to spend $1,000, because then all of a sudden I started getting emails. So, but now it's totally different. They're very wise. They know exactly what they're doing. But if it is something you want to pursue, then start at the beginning. Whoever you know that's in the legitimately in the REO business, like they look on MLS and see who the listing agent was that was an REO broker. So use MLS for your advantage. So go on MLS, look at closed deals from 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Look at Stephanie Vitaco, see that they were truly the listing agent on REO, then call them up. There's a guy named Phil in Sherman Oaks at Coldwell Banker there. I forget what, one of you may know him. I forget what his last name. Phil Baroda.
Baroda.
Yeah, I dated his assistant Rosa, another beautiful young lady. Rosa, I didn't date her for the REOs. It's just coincidence. So I would call Phil. He's very friendly. I'd go, Phil, I know you fly and you kiss butt to 500 banks. Could you give me one step I could take today? If that's what you want to do.
And you can always join a team of people like that do REOs. Like we had Marty Azulai, who was also doing tons of REOs.
Absolutely. And again, be of value to Marty, right? Be of value to Phil first.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they'll bring you in.
Yeah.
First give, then take.
First give, then take.
Well, I want to take this time to, Chuck, did you have something else before I wrap it?
I was gonna say we need to wrap it up. I get texts from people saying, hey, like Iris, she said, hey, tell Armando I said hi. I gotta go do a showing. And different people, you know, they can't stay on as long. You know, not everyone has leisure of what we're doing.
So we'll
we
take
want to
this.
Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. You were so charismatic and so much fun and fantastic.
Well, good luck to everybody. Stay well and let's do a deal together. Let's do a deal together.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And if you need to renew your license or you need any help with a license, call me. I'll help you. We can help you renew. If you want to get your husband licensed, your boyfriend licensed, your grandmother licensed, I'll help you. It helps a lot to have, because even though you would think, well, why aren't they giving me the business? He's my husband. Something happens when they get officially licensed that now they see it legit. They see your business as legit. And they're like, well, you know, my friend at work did mention. So it might be a good investment for you. It might be a good investment if you want to get a relative or your children that are sitting there playing games at home right now. Say, at least do something, get your license. I just trained a lot of children of a lot of top brokers. So
what's the minimum age?
Anything,
what's the minimum age?
Yeah, minimum age 18. You just have to be 18 to get a license. That's it. You don't need high school. You don't need college. You don't need nothing. You don't even need good credit. Yeah. So if I can help with anything with licensing or with renewing your license, give me a buzz. I'd love to help.
Wonderful. Right. Yeah, this goes on YouTube, so people will see it and people can comment, and you can comment if you'd like on there. But thank you so much for being a part of this, and we'll see you guys next week, same time.
Awesome. Be well.